Hello everybody and welcome. Root of Nightmares has just dropped. I wanted to get a raid guide out to help all those who want to get a completion, whether it's in this 48-hour time period or in the future. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk about the first encounter. For this encounter, you're going to have 2 runners and 4 add clear / timer extenders. Everyone should be running add clear weapons, and the 2 runners should run eager edge. You don't need to be super quick, but being able to be done quicker allows for more room for error. There are tormentors you need to kill quickly, so weapons like RB and machine guns are good for killing them. Having wells to place when killing tormentors is good, but to be honest, add clear supers like Dawnblade are also good. With that out of the way, let's start explaining the encounter. There are 4 phases to this encounter, and you have a running timer that will wipe you if it gets to 0. To extend this timer is really easy. There are 2 silents that spawn around the map in a bubble. You have to punch them to kill them. Once 2 are dead, a tormentor spawns. When you kill it, it increases the timer by 30 seconds. This is noted in the chat by "His hatred is halted momentarily." That is what the 4 add clears and timer extenders are going to do. If you see a scion, punch it. If you see a tormentor, make sure you're focusing it. You have to kill the tormentors. They will keep spawning. We didn't actually get to a point where they stop spawning. There might be, so still be quick, but you do have time. So those 4 people are just going to do that. And now onto the runners. By the way, I apologize for the footage. This was during day 1, and we didn't know exactly how it works. So this is a seed, and when there's an aura around it, shooting it whilst inside the aura will give you, and everyone else who's inside the aura, the field of light buff. This allows you to plant other seeds. Also, when you plant another seed, it gets rid of your buff, so you need to renew it by going back into the aura. If you shoot the aura twice before planting a seed, the aura goes away for a couple of seconds, and you have to wait. Just make sure the 2 runners coordinate when to get the buff. You'll see in the game, I'm often waiting by an unplanted seed, and it isn't there. This is because we got Field of Light twice without planting. Now that you know the buff works, I'll explain how to do the actual encounter. When you shoot the first aura, there will be a line right here, extending from the seed. This points to the next seed. Run over to it and have either runner shoot it. This could technically be done by 1 runner, but having a backup is good. Again, since this is day 1, we didn't know what to do. We assumed we had to have 1 with and 1 without. So I'm without the buff and I go over and shoot it and it does nothing. You have to have the buff. So once Dan comes over, you can see the ball is there and I'm shooting, it's not doing anything. When Dan comes over and shoots it, it grows. You can see it becomes a full ball. So you have to have the buff to shoot it. Additionally, there's a little area around the seed. You have to be inside that area to actually shoot it, so you can't shoot it from far away. Once you shoot it, 1 runner finds the next seed, and the one who actually shot it goes back to the aura and gets the Field of Light buff again. Then go to the second seed and shoot it, and then just repeat. The seed where the aura is sometimes changes, so in the beginning it's back here, but as you progress, it moves to like this one, for example. So always look for where the aura is. Once you get all the seeds in the area, it says "His hatred halts" in chat. When this happens, you have about 20 seconds until the timer restarts again. If you look towards the giant flower and go to the right or further down the arena, that is where the next aura will be. The further down arena you go, there are more seeds and they get more confusing. Unfortunately, I don't have a map, but follow the lines that point to the seeds. If you're quick enough, you should finish the first encounter. Quick recap, kill both Scions and the Tormentor to extend the timer. You need the buff to shoot the seeds. Go to the unplanted seed, follow the line, shoot it with the buff, replenish the buff, go to the next seed, replenish the buff, rinse and repeat. Once his hatred halts, go to the next one. There's 4 areas. Once you get all 4, you're done. Again, we're going to follow the video to get to the second encounter while I go over the loadout. You're going to have the same setup here in terms of roles, so 2 runners and 4 add clears, but now you are split into 2 sides, dark side and light side. The only difference in the mechanics is now there's also a darkness seed and a darkness buff. You need to have the darkness buff to shoot the dark seeds, and a light buff to shoot the light seeds. Runners should run eager edge swords, and if they want, they can shatter or wellscape. There's 1 runner who gets all the darkness seeds and 1 runner who gets all the light seeds. Then, for each side, there are going to be 2 add clears. They should run add clear weapons and something anti-barrier, since anti-barriers spawn near the end of the encounter. With that out of the way, let's get started. The most important thing in this entire encounter is that when you get the buff, everyone in your side gets the buff too. So if you're a runner, call out when you need people to get to the buff. This is because there are immune enemies that need to be killed with the buff. So light side immunes need the light buff and dark side immunes need the dark buff. You don't need to kill them, but they do a lot of damage, so making sure ad clear has the buff is important so they can actually kill them. When you start the encounter, both runners need to immediately start planting seeds. The first one you shoot is on your corresponding side, but the next should be on the opposite side. So light goes to dark side and dark goes to light side. Use these cannons to shoot yourself across unless you're skating. Make sure your back is to the cannon and you are on top of it. Sometimes these things are stupid, so make sure you are ready to save yourself with an eager swing. Once you shoot the seed on the opposite side, you have to return to your side and refresh the buff, since shooting the seed gets rid of your buff. Once you renew the buff, the next seed will be on your side. So the seeds alternate each time, meaning there is one on light, then dark, then light, then dark, then light, then dark. And on the opposite for the dark side seed. So it would start with dark, then light, dark light, dark light. Makes sense. After each seed, refresh the buff. It's tempting for the runners to just get the buff real quick and then jump over. But if the ad clears don't have the buff, it's very easy to die from the Centurions that are immune without the buff. Once you plant the 5 seeds, then a mini boss will spawn on each side. The runners end up on opposite sides, so the light runner would end up on the dark side. So make sure you jump back over to make things consistent. You need the buff to kill these enemies, so once again, make sure everyone is in the bubble before you shoot it, and then melt these enemies. Once you clear these ads, it says energy travels upwards, beckoning you. When this happens, you have to go to the far cannons all the way over here, and they should shoot you up to the second floor. You have 2 minutes for each floor, so be calm and make sure everyone is together when you get the buff. There are 3 floors, so once you finish the 3rd seed and kill the ads, you are complete. Quick recap, make sure everyone on your side gets the buff. The seeds alternate, so if you just got one on your side, go to the opposite side. After you get 3 on each side, then you have to go up. After you kill all the enemies, there's 3 floors. Once you get all of them, you are done. The jumping puzzle is super long, so I won't show you the route, but I will explain it. Essentially, you have the same 2 buffs. You have the darkness and the light buff, and you need to dodge a wipe mechanic that happens every 30 seconds or so. Shooting a light seed gives you the light buff, and with the light buff, you can shoot the dark seed. This dark seed buff will make you immune to the wipes. There are a bunch of seeds. As you carry on the path, you can see them from each other, so make sure you keep getting the light buff, keep getting the dark buff to dodge the wipe, and that's it. You carry on until you find the 3rd encounter, Macrocosm. This is the first boss encounter, so loadouts are more important this time. Our team ran rockets and essentially two-phased him. So run 1 G-Horn, 1 Two-Tailed Fox, 1 Div, and 3 legendary rockets, preferably Hothead with explosive light. If everyone runs Heavy Scout and Finder, you should be fine. If you see after damage, I had about 5 heavy bricks on the floor, and it was super easy to get heavy. 3 wells is ideal and 2 tethers too. You do damage in 3 separate locations, and the boss stays relatively the same place, so that's why you need 3 wells and 2 tethers. There are solar shields, but with removal of match game, you can run anything to break them. I was running a Void Trace Rifle, and that was fun. With that out of the way, let's talk about mechanics. This encounter has literally nothing to do with the previous encounters in terms of mechanics, so just forget about them for now. You need 2 teams, 3 people on light side, which is left, and 3 people on dark side, which is right. And then you need 4 runners, 2 per side. When you start the encounter, kill all the ads. This will spawn a Centurion. There are ads on light and ads on dark, so you have to kill your side's ads for the Centurion to spawn. There's a Centurion on light and dark side, and when you kill it, 2 Colossuses will spawn on the side the Centurion spawned on. These Colossuses need to be killed quickly, since not only do they do a lot of damage, they are essential to the actual mechanic. If you have heavy, shoot them with a rocket. If not, fusion rifles and slug shotguns melt them. When you kill one, you get a buff called Planetary Insight. This allows you to see if these planets are in the air are dark or light. Light planets look like this, and dark planets look like this. Essentially, what you need to do is correctly place the planets on their correct side. There are 2 dark planets on the light side and 2 light planets on the dark side. There are 6 planets in total on each side, with 3 up top and 3 below. There is 1 misplaced planet, which means a light on the dark side or a dark on the light side, in each of the 3 groups of planets. Here's a map. You can see there's a bottom left group, a top left group, left is light side, and then a top right and a bottom right group of 3. This is dark side. This is probably easiest done through an example, so I'm just going to show you an example. So I'm runner on bottom light side, and I killed my Colossus, and I look for a dark planet. It's this one, and I stand under it. Under each planet is a little white ball that allows you to pick it up. I stand under it and look at Dan, who is runner on bottom dark side. He stands under the light planet on the dark side, and we make sure we know which planet the other is standing under. I pick up the planet and run to the planet he was under. He picks up his planet and runs to where I was. When you deposit, this switches the planets around and puts them in the correct places, i.e. the dark that was on the light side is now on the dark side, and the light that was on the dark side is now on light. The same thing happens for the top light and top dark runners. So what we did is we paired that bottom left group with the bottom right group and the top left group with the top right group, just to make it much simpler. Once this happens, the planets will spin in the air and rearrange themselves. If you did this incorrectly, either you died or placed it in the wrong place, the planets will go back to their original locations and a second Centurion will spawn on each side, and you'll have to kill it to get the Colossuses to get the inside again. Once you do it correctly, it will say the index planets reveal themselves. At this point, there will be 3 planets in the center, and they will either be light or dark, and there will be always one of each, meaning there will never be 3 light or 3 dark. There's either 2 dark, 1 light, or 2 light, 1 dark. Once this happens, more Centurions will spawn, kill them, and then get the Colossuses. In this example, the planet on the right was light, the planet in the middle was dark, and the planet on the left was dark. I call that I'll get the light planet, then pick up any planet that matches your color complex. So if it's light, you can go from the top, you can go from the bottom, it does not matter. Just pick up a light planet. Once you pick up the correct planet, run over to the planet in the center you were dunking at. There are 3 plates in the center, and they're a little away from the actual planet. As you can see, this is my planet, and the plate is a little bit further back. So I run over to the plate and dunk the planet. Since there were 2 dark and only 1 light, both dark runners had to run, but only 1 light runner had to. Once you dunk the 3 planets, go to the center for damage. So damage is pretty simple, there's really only one mechanic. When he starts damage, he will either have a dark or a light shield. You have to stand on the corresponding plate to deal damage. In this case, light was right and dark was middle or left. Call it the plates just in case. Since his shield turned orange, it was dark plate, so we did damage from the middle. If there's a case where, for example, light is middle and dark is left and right, call out which plate you're going to go to if his shield turns dark, to make sure everyone is in the same plate. Once you go to each plate, damage is over. Rinse and repeat, and final stand is just a DPS check, so once you beat that, it's on to Nezarec. Nezarec is by far the hardest encounter in this raid, so just get ready for some challenge. There are a lot of different strats for this boss, and our team in fact missed an entire mechanic. We'll get to that in a second, but for now, loadouts. You're going to have 2 runners, 2 people focusing on crits, and center ad clear, and 1 ad clear on right and 1 on left. Warlocks run well, Hunters run Tether, Titans run Sunbreaker for ad clear. The 2 runners should run Eager Edge, since they no longer have a heavy weapon, one of them should run Div, and in this case, Dan did damage with fusion grenades. 1 person should run G-Horn, and the other 3 run Rockets. Izzy Hot Swap is probably the best, but our Blitz works too. Have everyone run Special Finny if they can, and 1 ad clear on Aeons to generate heavy ammo by finishing Colossuses. With that done, let's explain the encounter. You can do this encounter 2 ways, with Refuge and without Refuge. With Refuge slows it down, but it means you don't wipe. And if you don't have Refuge, you have to be super quick with shooting the seeds. Our team did it without Refuge and didn't really wipe to being too slow, only really people dying, so it isn't necessary. However, I'll explain it when it shows up. First, I'll go over the crit person and the ad clears. When you start the encounter, Nezarec will be perched up top. After a bit, there will be 2 shoulder crit spots and his chest crit. Shoot them as soon as possible. If you don't shoot them, some people will get Nezarec's hatred. This makes it almost impossible for the runners, and it does a lot of damage. If you shoot all 3 crits, you'll jump down and it'll get rid of Nezarec's hatred. If you are doing the refuge, this is when you do it. When you shoot the shoulders, he will glow either dark or light. When this happens, call it out. So call out he glows light, glows dark. One of the ad clearers, who is on the opposite side of the call, so if you call light, the dark side ad clearer, will go and pick up the darkness buff from one of the seeds. Only get this if the runner is also in the aura, because they still gotta run. Pick it up and then go to the opposite side and shoot one of the seeds. This will give you either dark or light's refuge, depending on the side. If you stand in the aura, his wipe will not kill you. If you're on the strat, I would have runners get the first 3 balls, then refuge, then the second 3. This makes it super easy to not wipe if if your team is too slow. And also, this is not my footage, so just I credit the guy in the outro. So be there for the outro, okay? So that's how you dodge the wipe mechanic. Now back to the normal explanation. So the crit people should shoot the belly if you can. This extends the timer before wiping. That's it. Now you understand the added clear people and the crit shooters. Now we have the runners. Again, there are 2 runners on each side, and I only have footage for the left side. The idea is the same, but the layout of the seeds is slightly different. I have this map, so I'll show it if you need it. So start by shooting the buff and count down when you do it, so both runners start at the same time. There will be an ungrown seed right in front of you. So this is the first one, so go to that one first. It is always the first one. So run to it, shoot it, and then backtrack and get the buff again. From here, it will either go left, right, or right, left. In this case, I see the ball spawn on the left, so I go over to it, shoot it, then go back and get the buff again. Then I go over to this one, which is on the right, and shoot it. At this point, if you are doing refuge, go to the refuge spot. If not, carry on. After shooting the first 3, the ore changes places, and the ore will be on the first one you shot. I get the buff, now go further up. There are 3 more. This one in the back is always last. And other than that, there is one on the left and one on the right. You can pretty easily see if there's a left or right seed or not, but if you shot the left one in the first set first, it will also be the left one in the second set first. Shoot it, get the buff, shoot the other one, get the buff, then shoot the final one. Call out when you finish. Once both runners finish, it is damage phase. You can do damage on any of the plates, I believe. We went to this one, but it doesn't matter. Pop a well even before damage, since Nezarec does massive deeps. Shoot his crits when they spawn, they're on his chest, and once you see this beam, it is damage time. He has 2 attacks, one where he rises then slams, another one where he jumps, teleports, and then slams. He moves around a lot, so be prepared for that when you're trying to shoot him. Additionally, the dip bubble pops up around his feet, so look out for that. Once he is done, you have about 20 seconds to grab ammo before he starts again. Rinse and repeat, and be mindful of the refuge since it changes. So if you shoot the crit this time, or the first time it was light, it's not necessarily going to be light again. So final stand is just a simple DPS check, so once you defeat him, you've killed the disciple and cleared the route of Nightmare Raid. I'll use a pinned comment for any new strats. Subscribe for more content. Thanks to Tech Runner for the Refuge gameplay, Skills Free for the Nezarec map, and Joe Gibbons for the Macrocosm map. Also, big thanks to my Day 1 team for being absolute beasts. We got top 500, and I couldn't be any happier. That's it. Good luck, and I'll see you next time. Bye.